have you heard about the concept of burdening and raw cost? I mean, during the previous sessions or maybe in your project?
No, Venkat.
Okay, so here we go. Usually, whatever the raw cost, whatever the cost we are incurring straight away, that will be our raw cost. I mean, the time card labor, time OTL time cards, AP invoices, and all. There is a concept of burdening where you are going to incur some extra cost, which is nothing but overhead during your process of the raw cost. I mean to say for example, your salaries. Salaries will be your raw cost, right?
Yeah.
Straightforward cost. Apart from that, company used to bear some cost on you in the form of workstation rent, in the form of cab services, in the form of pantry services, in the form of internet, everything they are providing you. End of the day, customer has to pay all those costs from his pocket along with your salaries, right?
Yeah.
So this particular cost, whatever is mentioned, that is nothing but the overhead cost. We are going to call them as a burden cost. So your salaries will be your raw cost, and the other expenditure, whatever we mentioned, that is nothing but the burden cost. So total your raw cost is 100 rupees, and I'm going to incur 20 per head. So 100 plus 20, total 120, the total burden cost which I'm going to incur from my pocket.
Mm.
The first one is raw cost. I mean, straightforward. The rate into quantity, it will get hit, and the raw cost into your burden multiplier, it will convert into your burden cost. And first line 100, second line 20, total the last line 100 plus 20, total 120. The company has to pay from the pocket. Now, this particular concept we are going to track using the burden. Now come to the different kind of terminologies: burden cost codes, burden cost, burden multiplier, schedule, structure, burden cost, blah, 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 blah. These are the different terminologies which we are going to see now. It's a optional, what is that? Optional feature. Most of the manufacturing companies will go for burdening, not all the companies. Why? Because in the manufacturing company, during the process management, they used to incur some overheads, usually in general. Sometimes you will be pulling the cost from the BOM, sometimes WIP, sometimes inventory. So there are different places where you are going to incur some overhead cost. So most of the cases, the burdening will be applicable for the manufacturing. And it's not necessarily only for the manufacturing. Even the service-oriented companies also can go with the burdening if they want to implement. Now, this is how it looks like. Storing the burden amounts. Do you want to store as a single line or as a separate line? If you see, the original line of the raw cost is 140, the burdening is 20, the total burdened cost is 160. If you want to split into two separate lines, clerical will go as a clerical, original 140, and the burden cost, whatever you are paying extra as a fringe, you want to track as a separate line, you can go with this. You can go like this. JK, did you get the difference?
Yeah, yeah. But
And this is how the accounting will happen. You are going to incur the expenditures in the Oracle project costing module. In the SLA, we have to generate the cost accounting events, and the create accounting will happen. Whenever you run the create accounting program, those will push to the GL, and the burden accounting entries will just get created and interface to GL. The same concept, like how our PRC distribute labor cost, PRC usage and maintenance cost we used to run. In a similar fashion, it will drive.
okay.
And what are the different kinds of project types and where to implement the burdening and all? We are not the decision makers. Business has to decide. Okay, what are the areas I am incurring the extra cost? Sometimes you'll be incurring the cost of 1 crore. You'll be booking a material is coming from China. Okay, from China, the material has came to Chennai airport, Chennai shipping yard. Okay, now from the Chennai shipping yard, you have to get the material in the railways in the nearby goods, I mean, railway goods. From there, you have to get that material to Tiruchi or maybe some other place in Chennai. End of the day, during this process, wherever you are paying officially, there is some unofficial amount, right? Like giving bribe or maybe giving some gifts to the officers or whatever the cost you are going to incur, those will be like it's a kind of overhead for you, obviously. So material cost is one crore in the sense it does not mean only 1 crore you are going to pay. You are going to pay extra some percentage of amount to get that material to your place.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like some places. So as a business manager, as a process manager, as a subject matter expert, the client will decide what are the areas I'm going to incur the expenditures extra and what are the expenditure types also. Obviously, right? Because we are going to, in our example case, we are going to show I mean, the expenditure type as a material. That's an expenditure type where wherever the material expenditure type I incur, 5% extra I'm going to prepare it. 5% extra I need to pay. That kind of like symptoms you'll be having, and you need to decide what are the areas you are going to incur the burdening. From IT side, we are not the decision makers. Okay, that is a thumb rule. Whatever they used to give, simply we have to implement it.
Okay.
And these are some kind of implementation steps, blah blah blah. This is not required. Just go with the setups. First thing, cost base. We are going to decide cost base. Always go with the burden cost. No change in it. Cost base will remains always as it is. Whenever it comes to the manufacturing project manufacturing module implementation, they can choose a separate cost base type as a manufacturing. As long as we are working with the project accounting, cost base always will be the burden cost.
Okay.
And codes. So burdening is nothing but a one more expenditure, right? Like the 20 rupees, whatever we are referring here in the first slide. The second line, the burden cost, 20, fringe. Here, fringe is your cost code actually. Even though it's an expenditure type, the 20 line, whatever you are deciding to generate, that is nothing but a cost code. For every cost code, like a total how many you want to like implement the burdening, that many cost codes you have to go with that. Like the best example is if you go to any restaurant in Chennai or maybe throughout India, you'll be having a two kind of tax inside, GST central tax and GST state tax, 2.5%, 2.5% something. You'll be
Mm.
having two lines on every bill. If you
Yeah.
go to movies or if you go to any restaurant or particularly the food bill, if you go to any food bill, if you see that the items cost is different on the top of the state tax and the central burden tax used to calculate. So two kinds of cost codes we have to prepare if that is the case. Two burden items, right? You are going to calculate state and central tax.
Mm.
Similar manner, total how many you are going to incur the burdening extra things, that many cost codes you have to define. In this case, cost code will be the fringe. We have to assign a expenditure type. Obviously, it's nothing but a new expenditure line, right? Whenever we say new expenditure line, obviously the project, task, expenditure type, and all those things, it will be derived
Okay.
against which expenditure type this particular burden should implement. So fringe benefits is the expenditure type. We have to attach this fringe to the fringe benefits. Then only the expenditure will store. Otherwise, expenditure can't store in the system.
Mm.
If you see this, the example, if you understand this table, we are good with the burdening. The bottom section, the gray color section called the expenditure types. Professional, clerical, supplies, construction material, travel, meals, airfare. These are the different bases. Like a few belongs to labor, few belongs to material, few belongs to expense, which we are going to prepare a cost base. Cost base is nothing but a free text. You are going to decide was under labor, these are the expenditure types will come for burdening. professional clerical sales. Under material supplies, construction materials. Under expenses, travel, meals, airfare will come. Okay, now question is, whenever I enter any expenditure type called clerical during my expenditure entry, G&A, overhead, fringe should calculate the first box. The above top three are your overhead, the burden lines, the burden cost codes. Whenever I
Okay.
enter any G&A, meal, airfare, the last box, okay, only G&A should calculate.
Mm-hmm.
Middle one, whenever I incur any expenditure, supplies or material construction materials, handling charges as well as G&A charges, I should incur. Yes, you are going
Okay.
to prepare structure accordingly. So from the client side, you are the decision maker, right? What are the areas you will be incurring the burden?
So only the purpose for the reporting purpose only, they are just segregating the cost, like which is direct, which is indirect, which is something.
Absolutely, absolutely. The
There's
the
nothing,
the drilling down of the cost to the next level actually.
there's nothing related to accounting, like
No,
this
no,
will
it's
be
there.
happen like.
Still it's there. No, no, still we can do the accounting on it. If you want to go
Okay.
with a separate accounting, if you, I mean, still auto accounting is responsible for these transactions. You can go with your own indirect related accounting. If you want to derive a separate cost, account combinations, you can go with it.
Okay.
The same, whenever we are doing the costs in the breakup, obviously the accounting also it will allow us. So like in your project currently, like I mean the burdening is, I mean you guys are implementing, because of course it's a
Uh,
financial service company. I don't see like they'll implement the burdening.
I'm not aware of from the project
Okay.
accounting
Okay.
perspective. In
All
March
right.
they are going to start, I think.
All right. No problem. Yeah, let's go with the next one. We are going to select in the two cases. One is the additive. Second one is the like precedence. Now, whenever we choose the additive example, if you see the raw cost is 100, I want to go with the three kinds of overhead cost calculation. Every time 10%. I'm going to give the percentage also. Multiplier is nothing but your percentage. Okay, 10%.
Oh,
Out of 100, what is the 10% is $10. So fridge $10, overhead $10, G&A $10. Total 130, burdened $130 as a burdened cost. I'm going to pay it.
okay.
This is
What is G
additive
and
method. Governance and there is a kind of G&A expenses usually. Governance and appliances something in the, it's a kind of a common expenditure where they used to incur in the form of burdening. It's outside general terminology, not related to any Oracle applications.
okay, okay.
This is the additive method. If you go to the precedence, if you see fringe 10%, overhead 10%, G&A 10%, but the calculation will be changing. That means for the first method, I mean for the first line fringe, the input will be $100. $100 of 10% is 10. After that, whenever it calculates the overhead, this 10 plus 100, total 110 will be the input for overhead. Okay, out of 110, 10% is $11. It's a cumulative
Okay.
basis. If you see the amounts, it's getting
Yeah, yeah, got
changed.
it, got it, got it.
Yeah, additive or precedence, $3 are coming difference. It's fine. Now coming to the versions, I can see the different versions also. Like quarter one, take the rates. Obviously, rates will get changed, right? For first quarter,
Mm.
maybe I have a different multipliers. Maybe the next 2020, I have a different rates. 2016, I have a different rates. Obviously, so like that, we can prepare a different rates based on the different this one, the different versions.
Okay.
Good. And yeah, coming to the next one. And organizational wise also, you can give the different rates. For headquarters level, fringe and overhead 0.9 and 0.5%. In the services east, I don't calculate anything because I don't incur any burdening. In the west, overhead 0.8%. New York 0.6%, only fringe. Okay, the next one, fringe 0.3%. But in San Jose, there is no burdening. Like this, you can prepare your burden multiplier hierarchy accordingly.
Okay.
It's not necessarily all the organizations must have the burdening and all. Wherever applicable, you can just simply give that particular organizations and the respective multipliers.
Mm-hmm.
And all these things, whatever the structure we discussed, hierarchy, schedule, date ranges, multipliers, we are going to compile it. That is nothing but the burden schedule, and you are going to attach to your project type level, which will default to your project and subsequently to your task also. So you are going to assign it only at the project type level. We are not going to assign anything to the project and task level. It will get defaulted to your project as well as the task. Still,
Okay.
you can override your schedules at the project and at the task levels. And this is how it calculates all blah 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 blah. Some accounting. Anyhow, accounting I'll give you that. Yeah. Let's see how it looks like in the system. K paid around 25K, okay. But that they provided the instance as well as the training. These are the combo they used to prepare, they used to give. So the instance after completion of the training, I think 1 month or 2 months, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I'll give
So,
you some details in Chennai, okay? Like if you plan any plan to come to Hyderabad, I can give you some address. You can just go and install over there. Just a matter of 2 hours job, 500 rupees
oh,
directly in
okay.
your machine. It's a permanent one. Like no one will touch that.
Oh, is it?
The one
Okay.
which how I did. I'm trying to figure it out in Chennai. Let me try
Mhm.
to find out with my friend. I'll give you the address if I mean if I have if I get any update, you can just
Yeah,
go and get it installed so that
yeah,
there
sure.
won't be any
Yeah.
costing. I'm in the setup part. Go to setup, costing,
But
burden. Cost base always just it will remain as it is. Let me define some cost base. PA1
raw
cost
cost.
base. I'll just giving some example. Shift F5 burden cost always as always. Depart.
Material cost also you can give like
Yeah, still okay. Some PA1 cost base. I'm just giving some vague example. Here coming to the cost codes, we can define our own cost codes here. PA1 cost code 1, okay. That means again is this one, the like this is a kind of state GST, central GST, okay. This is the example. What is the associated expenditure type for this? Okay, I'll just give the existing one. State
so
GST or central GST, I'm just going to prepare it. Go on.
I have not attached the uh, cost codes with that raw material rate.
No, no, not yet. That is still we are not even attached here. This is a extra line. Whatever the state GST is a separate line for us, right?
Okay, yeah, got it.
We are just still at that level only.
Okay.
Okay, I just prepared state GST and